2 years after a massive earthquake devastated Haiti, Senator Marco Rubio traveled to the impoverished country to check on U.S.-backed efforts to help the nation rebuild. It's Senator Rubio's first trip to Haiti, and he was accompanied by his wife, Jeanette.
Together, they spoke with top Haitian government officials about the island nation's long list of issues, including human trafficking. And Calvin was the only journalist who went along with Rubio to document his trip. You've just returned. What did you see?
Oh, it was an amazing trip, and I will tell you, his staff told me that Marco Rubio is not a guy who likes to stay in meetings, and I found out firsthand that he has lots and lots of energy. In fact, they were so right. As soon as we hit the ground at 9:30 in Port-au-Prince, we jumped into the motorcade and off to the U.S. Embassy for the official game plan for the day. Then our very first stop was an emotional, eye-opening one for the senator and his wife, Jeanette.
It's a schoolhouse greeting from students at the Institute for Human and Community Development, a shelter for young Haitians recovering from the country's Restabac system, a modern form of child slavery. Behind each innocent face are tragic scars that no child should have to bear. Stories of physical and sexual abuse and hard labor that began at age 6. The Rubios heard firsthand from 2 teenagers.
So to be able to witness that, especially kids that come from the kind of background that these kids come from and who are so hopeful about what they can be and what their country can be in the future, it is an emotional thing, and one of the real rewarding parts of this trip.
I was overwhelmed. I mean, they're kids. I mean, when you see a child and you see in their eyes what, you see what they go through, their pain, the first thing you do, I think as a mother, your instinct is to want to grab them and hold them and just, say, look, and it's going to be okay.
By noon, we were back on the busy streets of Port-au-Prince on our way to talk about how to attract more companies to Haiti at a table of CEOs and private investors. From there to the presidential palace, shaking hands with newly elected Michel Martelly. After that brief statement, we were told to turn off our cameras and leave the meeting, but we were given rare access to the presidential grounds, still in ruins from the quake in 2010. We're now on the grounds of the presidential palace, and you can see it was heavily damaged 2 years ago from the quake. There has been some demolition work, but 2 years later, there is still a long way to go.
Are we happy? No. I mean, you'd like to see more progress. And I think the important thing we learned from today is that we need to move to step 2 after the earthquake. Now is that kind of finding permanent solutions so that Haiti can establish a new future for itself where they're self-reliant and self-dependent.
And for the senator who is a fiscal conservative, make no mistake, he was there to see how Haiti was spending the billions of dollars in U.S. taxpayer money. He told me top government officials are putting education, investment, and jobs first. And with that said, Senator Rubio thinks the day will come very soon when fewer American dollars will have to go to Haiti. And one final point, if I can say, of those who are wondering who paid for Senator Rubio's wife to go on this trip, American Express, and his points from his credit card. So he wanted to make that point that for those wondering, it is not a case of the government paying for his wife.
But actually, she sparked the interest in this trip. You were telling us earlier from a Hollywood film they saw?
Yes, she did. It was a movie called Human Trafficking that came out in 2005. And it was a movie that really struck them and said, you know what, this is a huge world problem. But as they began to study the issue more and more, they found out that this issue is happening, human trafficking, right in our own backyard, right here in South Florida. And if I can make one more point about the Restabac system that's going on in Haiti, that is a cultural problem that has been around for decades, and it is not going anywhere anytime soon. It is a way of life for many young kids and for poor families who'd like to have their kids go to wealthier families to get shelter, education, housing, all of those things that they dream of for the next generation. It's estimated 300,000 Restabacs are now in Haiti, anywhere between 90 and 300,000 kids who are doing that. So it's not going to happen in terms of ending that problem anytime soon.
The Rubios have 4 children at home.
Yes.
It's near and dear to their heart to help kids.
Yes, they will.
Calvin, thanks.
Okay, thank you.